Hey everyone, welcome to Patriot Soapbox, where I give you my commentary on the news of the day as reported by the Wall Street Journal. First up, there's more impeachment drama as now Gordon Sondland yet again says that Trump was trying to bribe, extort, yada 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 Ukraine, right? I mean, they've used a whole bunch of different words. First it was quid pro quo, but they threw that out after the focus group said that bribery is the word that would stick better. All that and extortion, because quid pro quo, as I previously mentioned, just means something for something in Latin, or this for that. It literally can refer to any exchange, whether it is bribery, extortion, or whether it's just buying a bag of chips at 7-Eleven. It can mean any sort of exchange like that. And so, for those who don't know, Sondland is the U.S. ambassador to the European Union. So, yeah. Oh, and also there's ambassadors. There's one ambassador to Ukraine who's complaining about being fired by Trump, and she was an Obama appointee. Never mind the fact that Obama fired all of Bush's ambassadors and then appointed his own. So I smell hypocrisy there. And now that Twitter has decided to ban political advertising, Google is following in suit, and they're gonna start limiting the ads. So they're not going to put an outright ban on it. They're just going to put a ban. They're going to ban highly targeted ads. So the advertisers no longer be able to target people specifically with their political ads, but they can still post them, which calls into question freedom of speech rights, because Google is clearly limiting a company's freedom of speech. So are companies allowed to do that? I mean, who knows? This may get taken up to the Supreme Court, although no one's sued yet, so it's not like it could happen yet. Then flip over to the U.S. Keep flipping to the U.S. section. In Massachusetts, home state here, they decided to ban flavored vapes and flavored tobacco, which I believe that is not going to go well. After Prohibition, I think every state in the U.S. and the federal government and the cities should have pretty quickly learned that banning alcohol does not stop. They learned banning alcohol does not stop alcohol consumption. So they should have learned by extension. If you ban something, it'll just become hard to get. That's really the difference between something that's banned and something that's legal. There's just the difficulty in acquiring it, including prices. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna end well for them. And then the former mayor of Baltimore, Catherine Pug, was indicted on federal wire fraud and tax-related charges stemming from her self-published Healthy Holly children's books, which was the heart of a political scandal to prompt her resignation. So yeah, she was indicted on fraud for selling for all these books, and if convicted, she faces a maximum sentence of 20 years in federal prison, and for each of the 7 counts of wire fraud, and lesser terms for other charges such as tax evasion. And then the sentence is often short of the maximum penalties, and given that she's rich and a Democrat and a politician, she'll probably get like a day in the clink, maybe 2 days. Or maybe they're out Lori Loughlin and get what'd you get, like 2 weeks? So yeah. There was a presidential debate last night between the Democrats. And by the way, the reason why there's not one for the Republicans yet is because of I think it's now 2 guys challenging Trump because the other guy dropped out. But problem is for them is that they have barely any support. Like, Trump has 95% support in the Republican Party, give or take a percentage point, whereas they got barely anything against him. So the reason there's no debate is they don't have a chance. They don't even qualify. Whereas for Democrats, many of them do. So they gotta keep whittling down the herd. So let's go over some highlights, shall we? Let's listen to this article. So there's 10 candidates, and they started obviously by criticizing Trump because of the impeachment hearings, but as the debates always have since they started for this election season, they split a line between centrists and progressives. So no conservative Democrats, just centrists or centrists, given that they're getting dragged to the left as the party center of gravity moves to the political left, and obviously the progressive. So that's pretty much it's Biden and Buttigieg versus on one side, and then you got Sanders and Warren on the other. Bernie Sanders called Trump a pathological liar before, and he called him that again, saying, and I quote, "Sadly, we have a president who's not only a pathological liar, he's likely the most corrupt president in modern history of America." End quote. So not Nixon, Obama, Clinton, not those guys, or even Johnson maybe, or Kennedy. Not those guys are not the most corrupt in modern history. Trump is. I think he needs to read it. I think he needs to pull out a history textbook. But if he did that, he'd lose his faith in socialism. So he's not going to do that, obviously. To quickly turn to a policy fight, several of those on the periphery of the stage aiming to make their mark in a race that is increasingly centered around the four candidates I mentioned, Warren, Sanders, Biden, and Buttigieg. So yeah, Cory Booker criticized the Warren's wealth tax, and he agrees with their universal preschool policies, which, by the way, are actually detrimental to children's emotional development because if they're kept away from their parents that long, especially within like the first 3 to 5 years of their life, they'll have severe. They usually don't develop properly in terms of mental and emotional health. So maybe instead of trying to rip kids away to indoctrinate them, they should actually let kids stay with their parents. But that's just me. So they also want to. It's pretty much agreed upon like funding historically black colleges and universities, raising corporate tax rates, and at least Warren and Booker agree on those, but he disagrees on how to pay for them. So Warren says she's tired of freeloading billionaires, which is odd given that billionaires typically build their wealth through business. I mean, besides that, I mean, a politician there's really no other way to be a billionaire. Oh, I mean, you could pull off a grand heist at Fort Knox, but that ain't gonna happen. The security there is way too heavy for you to pull off that kind of heist. So yeah, obviously the Medicare for all came up because healthcare is one of the biggest, if not the biggest issue according to voters and according to 2016, 2018 data. And so obviously there was critiques lashed out at Sanders and Warren over how to pay for it, because $32 trillion if you ask Bernie Sanders, and $20.5 trillion if you ask Warren over 10 years. It's a lot of money, and someone's gonna have to pay for it, but they disagree on how. So Biden wants to build on the ACA for the public option idea, like essentially expanding Medicaid so that anyone could buy into, or Medicare rather, so anyone could buy into it. And Tulsi Gabbard and Kamala Harris were trying. They butted heads over what the Democratic Party stands for, and Gabbard said that Clinton was that Hillary Clinton had negatively influenced the Democratic Party. Like, it's well publicized now that she's been all her spats with Hillary over issues, and then Andrew Yang keeps promising free money, and then Tom Steyer's kind of the new guy. So yeah, recap. It's all focused around Buttigieg, Warren, Sanders, and Biden. Right now, if nothing else changes, those are only 4 candidates out of the how many left? Like, I was keeping track of how many candidates were running, but I think I lost count, like 17. So, and I know it's dropped, so I'm gonna make a guess and say that 15 people running, probably, give or take a few. Those 4 are the only ones that matter now. They're gonna, they're the ones that will go to the convention. It'll be one of those 4 who's nominated. We go out to the op-ed section with I mentioned yesterday about how progressives are bashing Salvation Army for holding because God forbid they uphold a traditional view of marriage. A lot of choice of expressions for me too, using God forbid to describe that, but yeah. But yeah, it says they're the latest in the latest victim of the outrage mob. Hey, ringing a bell on the street corner harassment donations does get annoying for a while, but I do applaud I do applaud the Salvation Army for all they do. So bashing like that, I'm like, come on, it's a charity. How bored are progressives that they have to destroy everything, huh? How bored are they? Maybe they just get off welfare and get jobs that actually have something to do. And then finally, there's a op-ed that discusses all of the current stuff that we know about the impeachment drama. Like, the op-ed's entitled "Unimpeachable Offenses," because listing all like the little things. Like, these are like, and I quote, "The House impeachment hearings roll on, but the most important news is how little new we're learning about President Trump and Ukraine," end quote. Like, it's basically the same old stuff. Like, there's quid pro quo, there's extortion, there's bribery, blah, 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 blah. And yet there's, and the media is hyping it up. Like, it says the impeachment press is hyperventilating that, like, Sondland nailed down the evidence. But he hasn't. And a lot of these witnesses aren't really witnesses because they weren't even on the phone. And you pile that on top, tie that in with the fact that that Adam Schiff won't even bring the whistleblower forward to testify, but he'll bring Trump forward to testify, or at least he wants to. Why? It makes logical sense for the guy who made the complaint to testify, right? That's how. Okay, forgive me if I'm like missing something here. Like maybe I don't know. Maybe I watched too many cop shows. I don't understand how courts work. Maybe I don't. Maybe I haven't read up enough in textbooks about how the court works. Whatever. But I'm pretty sure that like in all my knowledge of how court cases work, like yeah, I know cop shows not knowledge, but I have read about how courts work in civics books and other textbooks and stuff like that. And I also did a mock trial in middle school. And the person who makes the complaint always is there. Like they're part of the prosecution or plaintiff for a civil case like this one. So as the plaintiff or part of the plaintiff's team, shouldn't the whistleblower be like the main guy testifying, like the main one, not any of these other hooligans who Schiff decided to call up to say what he wants? It's ridiculous how precedent destroying this the whole impeachment process is. So with that thought of just how's our justice system changing for the worse because of the impeachment issue, I say goodbye and until the next time, Patriot or Soapbox. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great daily content.